Hi, bros, carnales, what is going on? Insomnia from the Mexican Gamers channel. Bring you guys this brief introduction to the Liga MX podcast, the test podcast that I'm trying here. Yeah, man. So in the description, it's important, really important that you read or you just click on the description to open it, show more, because there will be a download link to the entire podcast. The MP3 file for the podcast will be in the description below, so you can put it in your phone, in your iPod, iPhone, whatever you may have. And you can listen to it while you drive, while you run, work out, whatever it may be. So yeah, I'm trying to make it a little bit easier for you so you won't have to have YouTube open, your connection, anything like that. There's a download link in the description. Also, there's little time. I have the little timestamps in the description because I have certain topics that I talk about. Let's say you just want to hear me talk about Copa MX. Boom, you see the time in the description. Click on that little time. It takes you to that part of the video. Let's say you just want to listen to me talk about León. There will be the time right there because I speak about León. I talk about Copa Libertadores. I talk about Copa MX, the coming up games for Liga MX week 11. So yeah, man, this is pretty much what it is. Test podcast. Leave your feedback about it, and hopefully you guys enjoy the podcast, the show, man. It's my first try at it. All right. TMG Nation, football fans, what is going on? Insomnia from the Mexican Gamers channel. Welcome to something kind of new in this channel. I guess I've never done this, by the way. I've never done this. I don't know if I'll continue doing this. Let me get to what I'm talking about. As you're seeing in the screen, you see the Liga MX sign that says GuerrerosAzteca podcast, right? So this GuerrerosAzteca is the name of my Spanish channel, my channel in Español, where I would post sort of simulations, but instead of commentating them in English, I would do them in Spanish because I can speak both. I'm bilingual. I can speak both, English and Spanish. So yeah, this is sort of like a little test. I don't know if I'll continue doing this. I don't know if I can't do it right now because it's just right now I'm doing it because I'm in spring break, so I have time. But during the week, back when I'm regularly, in school, going to school and have homework and stuff like that, I can't do it. I just don't have enough time. I don't have enough time. So this is just a little test. Maybe in the summer we'll get something started where I, just do a little podcast like this. That's what I'm talking about. Just because some people had left comments saying, yo, why don't you talk about your opinions on what's going on in the Liga MX? Just cover topics. Some people also, León, La Fiera fans have been saying, just what are your opinions on León, on León, what's going on with their team, this and that. So, Liga MX, man, El Fútbol Mexicano, I've been following it since I was a little kid, man, and every day, 7 days a week, I eat, sleep, and breathe this league. I guess like 18 hours out of the day, I'm following it, when I'm out and about, doing something else, I'm on my phone checking scores. Right now I just finished watching, a couple of hours ago, I just finished watching the Copa MX games between, the first was the Cruz Azul versus Juárez. Those were the quarterfinals. And then I watched Estudiantes versus America. And I watched, Cruz Azul beat Juárez 1-0. And America defeated Estudiantes in penalties. They tied 1-1 and they went to penalties to define who was going to advance to semifinals versus Cruz Azul. So we're going to have a Clásico Joven semifinals for the Copa MX, Cruz Azul versus America, or America versus Cruz Azul, because America finished first in the Copa, so it's going to be in El Estadio Azteca. I don't know exactly when the game is. I know it's not, they're going to take like 2 weeks off. It's not next week, I believe, but it's the week after that, I think. I'm not exactly sure. I should have researched that, but so again, I'm just laying the foundation of what I'm going to talk about. There's going to be no gameplay here. This is just like a little podcast. And the image you're watching on screen is just something that I created. Like I said, again, Guerreros podcast. The channel Guerreros Azteca, that name is my secondary channel, or my channel in Spanish or in Español. And, I just have the Liga MX image there because that's what we're going to talk about. That's pretty much what this whole podcast revolves around, because some people wanted to know my opinion. So yeah, like I said, we already talked about a little bit about the Copa MX. So that's good, man. That two big teams from La Liga MX, such as America, such as Cruz Azul, advanced to the semifinals. It's an obligation for these teams because of their size, because of the size of their fan base, the hierarchy that these teams hold in Mexican football. it's an obligation for these teams to advance to, to win these tournaments. You have to win. America, it would have been embarrassing. I'm an America fan. Soy americanista. It would have been embarrassing for me to, for my team to lose to Estudiantes. No offense to Estudiantes fans or to Tecos fans, whatever you want to call them. It's Estudiantes now, I believe. It would have been, it's fracaso. That's what you call it. Something. It would have been embarrassing to lose because Estudiantes, obviously, they're playing in La Liga de Ascenso. They're not in the first division. So it's mandatory for these teams to win these cups. So now we're going to have an awesome semifinal. Tomorrow are the other games between Pachuca and Puebla. And then I guess it's Atlante versus Atlas afterwards, after this game. So first is Pachuca versus Puebla and then Atlante versus Atlas. I don't know when you guys are watching this. By the way, I should have pointed that out. Hopefully I can get it up by tomorrow. And hopefully you're watching this in time, but if I can't, then I'm sorry. I'm speaking a little bit past tense. Hopefully you guys don't mind that too much. And also excuse the voice because I'm sick. It's also very late. It's 1:30 a.m. right now, so I might sound a little tired. I'm also sick. I still have a cold or the flu, whatever it is. So yeah, man, interesting. So Cruz Azul America are the first leg of the semifinals, and the second one will be defined between Pachuca and Puebla and Atlante versus Atlas. Hopefully. No offense to Atlante fans or Puebla fans, but I would hope and I think that Pachuca will advance versus Puebla and Atlas will advance versus Atlante. I think it would bring a more entertainment towards the Copa because Atlas is playing really, really well. They're playing with so much heart in the league. I mean, they're second in the league, man, behind Tigres. They're over America. Second in the league. They just beat Toluca in Toluca. So I mean, Atlas is on a roll, man. They're playing great. They already forgot about the relegation or el descenso. They already forgot about that. They're just focused on, I guess, winning the title, man. I don't know if it'll be enough for them because La Liguilla is something else. Liguilla is a different tournament, and it is something else. But right now, during the regular season, Atlas is playing great, and I think Pachuca has the arguments, speaking on the field, players wise and stuff like that to defeat Puebla. But hey, man, you never know. Puebla has a great coach such as Manolo Lapuente. So yeah, man, I would expect Atlas to defeat Atlante and Pachuca to defeat Puebla. Like I said again, I don't know exactly when you're watching this, so these games might have already happened, and maybe I'm already wrong, but hopefully I can get this out to you guys in time. And yeah, man. So again, excuse the voice and the little sniffling, whatever, because I'm sick. So that's enough for the Copa MX talk. I'm happy that Cruz Azul and America are in the semifinals. So let's move on to the next little topic that I have here. I have a page where I just have a couple of topics that I want to talk about. This video is going to be about 15 to 20 minutes long. I'm not sure. It just depends on how long I ramble about Liga MX stuff. But I wanted to talk about El Tuca Ferretti, Tigres, the coach for Tigres, because today, as I'm recording this, Tigres lost versus Seattle Sounders in the CONCACAF Champions League or CONCACAF Champions League, right? Seattle Sounders is an MLS team, obviously. They lost 3-1. I didn't watch the game, but I saw the highlights and I was keeping track of it because I wasn't home. And I saw that Tigres was winning. They started winning with a goal by Elias Hernandez. So I was like, all right, that's good, because Tigres had won 1-0 in Monterrey, and this was the away game, the second game, and this one was in Seattle. So I saw in my phone that Tigres started winning with a goal by Elias Hernandez. I said, okay. So I put my phone away. I come back to my phone hours later, and I see that they lost 3-1, and it's like, man, really? And here's the thing that I have a problem with this, because Tuca Ferretti did not take... Tigres is just an amazing team. They're playing great in the league. They're number one, super líder in La Liga MX. They're unstoppable, pretty much. They haven't faced America, though. Just saying. Just saying. No. But, I mean, Tigres just came from beating... what's it called? San Luis with an amazing, just over 25 Tigres fans showing up to El Estadio from San Luis, in San Luis. I mean, it was just amazing. Invasión Tigres, I think that's what they called it. Over 25,000 fans. Insane. They're playing great, but he should have, Tuca Ferretti, the coach, he should have taken this a little bit more seriously, man. This tournament, CONCACAF Champions League, I'm just going to call it the Champions, whatever. CONCA Champions. This tournament has something on the line, which is a ticket to the Club World Cup. It's not a little tournament, sort of like the Copa MX, which really has nothing on the line. I guess it's just like bragging rights. But this other tournament, CONCACAF, CONCA Champions, it has a ticket to the Club World Cup, the one that Monterrey just disputed. They got knocked off by Chelsea. But hey, man, like it's something, it's a world stage. You get to show off your squad. If people had never heard about your team, you go represent Mexico, you go represent La Liga MX. It's a big deal. And it kind of frustrates me, and I find it kind of disrespectful, not only to Tigres fans, but to sort of Mexican football, that the manager takes a squad full of players that might not have the prestige that their starting squad has. Like the only starter was not even starter. The only player that I really saw there was like Elias Hernandez and someone else. I forgot, man. But I mean, it was a squad full of young players. Like I said, again, I didn't watch the game, but it wasn't. I know that Damian Alvarez wasn't there. I believe Damian Alvarez is injured. Lucas Lobos wasn't there. Tito Villa is also injured. But Luis Garcia, Carlos Salcido, this and that. It wasn't their regular squad, their starting squad. He just, sent a alternative squad to face the Seattle Sounders team in Seattle. They started winning, and then sure enough, I think Tigres got a red card, and that's when the games kind of changed. But it was a huge risk by taking this alternative squad to face Seattle. Because, if you win, great. But if you lose, then that's when the media starts hitting you, because it's unfair for Tigres fans. Because if I was a Tigres fan, I would love to see my team in a Club World Cup, in Japan. I would love to see him there, or I would just love to see him disputing the final of this tournament. But then the manager sends in, this alternative squad with a bunch of young players that might not be ready for a tournament like this, versus a team like Seattle Sounders, which they're pretty good, man. They're pretty good. So, man, come on. It just frustrates me because Tigres is number one in La Liga MX. I think they could have put Mexico's name, or La Liga's name, up there. They could have defeated Seattle Sounders if they brought their starting squad, or not even their starting squad. If they brought some of their more prestigious players like Lucas Lobos, maybe for a couple of minutes. But come on, man. I just thought it was just unfair how he. I don't know. I just don't think it was fair how the squad that he took over there. And sure enough, the Seattle Sounders ended up answering back, after going down 1-0, and they ended up stealing the game. They won 3-1. And I don't know, man. I just feel like Tuca Ferretti, the manager, I don't know. I think he makes a mistake, man, because this CONCA Champions League has something on the line, and it's an important tournament. So those are just my opinions. Obviously, you take it as you will. Let's move on to my next topic, which some of you guys had been suggesting. Talk about La Fiera, talk about León. What's going on with León? Last season, they were the sensational team, man. They were the team that I like to watch on TV because they always put on a show. I'm not a León fan. I'm an Americanista. But I enjoyed watching the León games because they were always offensive. They were always dynamic. But what's going on? These are my opinions. Well, first of all, León just is coming from losing 2-1 versus Monterrey in a tough game. They fought, but they lost. Monterrey also hasn't had a good season. They needed a win. There was talks that both managers' jobs were on the line, which I don't agree. I think it would be a huge mistake for the León, the administration or management to fire Gustavo Matosas, the coach who got him to the first division, to La Liga MX, got him out of the ascenso. He brought him, and I don't think that would fix it. I don't think that would fix just firing the manager. I don't think that's what it is, because León hasn't lost their identity. They still have an offensive team. This team doesn't look. If you see a team like no offense to San Luis fans or anything like that, but if you see a team like San Luis play, the team at times just doesn't have an idea. You don't see them playing for anything. They're on the pitch just kind of chasing the ball around, passing it back and forth. Just they don't really have an idea. Leon, on the other hand, I see an idea in the team still. They're just not, what do you call it? They're not taking advantage of the opportunities that they generate, because they do generate. And then defensively, I see a lot of problems, which they really didn't have too much of those last season. It's a confidence thing, man. Leon has to win a couple of games so they could start rolling once again, start getting more confidence. And it's looking kind of great for them, because the next game, this upcoming game, Jornada, what is it, 11? Week 11 of action. They're going up versus Pumas once again away. This is what I have right here. I'm looking at my screen. Once again, they're away. I think they were away versus Monterrey. Now once again, Leon fans, I don't know if you could explain that in the comments. Maybe you can. But they're away once again at Ceú versus Pumas. Tough game, man, because Pumas is coming from defeating Puebla 1-0 in Puebla. Goal by Martín Bravo. So Pumas is starting to roll, man. Pumas is starting to get in a row. They're starting to play well. You start seeing Pumas getting back into action. And man, it's a tough game versus Pumas. I don't want to say I don't see Leon with too many chances to win, because anything can happen, really. Leon is not a team that you should take lightly. They're not having a good season, but like I said, man, you still see the idea in the team. It's just that one thing is, man, I think the players that they signed, like Rafa Marquez, what is the other player? Arrechea, Neri Castillo. I think that was it, right? There might be others. They I don't know if it helped the team. The team was doing good, but the reason they got these three players, or maybe it might have been even more, but the reason why they signed these new players was because they were going to dispute the Copa Libertadores, which ended up flopping. They lost to, what is it, Deportivo Iquique. They in the qualifying stages, they didn't even qualify to the Copa, which was a fail, man. I wanted to see Leon disputing the Copa Libertadores. That's why they got more players, so they can have a fuller team, a fuller squad. But they ended up not even qualifying to the Copa Libertadores. And I don't see how these new signings helped. Rafa Marquez is always getting injured. Neri Castillo doesn't play much. Arrechea, he's the one who's been the best one out of the new signings. So I don't one thing. Leon fans should just. It's frustrating, man, to see your team lose, and you play well, but you don't get the result that you think you deserve. Because that game versus Puebla that they lost at home, I think Pumas, Leon deserved to win, man. They deserved to win. They lost 1-0, I believe, versus Puebla. But, they just wouldn't take advantage of the opportunities that were generating. One, little play that Puebla created, and boom, man, it's game. They won the game, and Leon just, you could see the frustration in the fans and in the players, because they have an idea on the pitch, but it's just not happening for them. So just, I guess, be patient, and they need to get a couple of wins so the team can start rolling, so the confidence can get in the players. And I think they'll be fine, man. I think Leon's, like I said, it's not as serious as the San Luis case. You still see an idea in the team. So those are my opinions on Leon, on La Fiera. Let's move on to just briefly talk about La Copa Libertadores, because Tijuana today is facing off versus Corinthians. Like I said, I don't know when you're watching this. Hopefully I can get it out for you on time. So yeah, it's going to be, first it's the Barcelona de Guayaquil versus Toluca, and then we have the Corinthians game versus Tijuana. Tijuana defeating Corinthians at home first. I think they beat them 1-0, right? But now it's going to be in Brazil. So now this is the real deal. Can Xolos beat Corinthians, the World Club champions, the Club World Cup champions, right? They defeated Chelsea in the final. So the world champions, I guess you can call them, Corinthians, in Brazil. Man, that's going to be, Alexandre Pato. They have great players. So if Xolos defeats, it'll be historical. If defeats Corinthians in Brazil, man, because no one even knew who Tijuana was. I'm not talking about people in Mexico. Obviously, we know who Tijuana is, but internationally, like in South America, the Brazilians, the people from Argentina, they didn't really know who Tijuana was. It's a fairly new team. What do they have? Like 7 years of existence, I think. Maybe even less. 7, I think. I'm not exactly sure. Tijuana fans could help me out on that. But hopefully Tijuana could pull this result, man. I don't go for, I'm all for supporting Mexican clubs in international tournaments. Like Tijuana, I'm down for supporting them. If they score, I'll clap. I won't scream and like celebrate like I do when America scores, but I'll clap, I'll fist pump and stuff like that. And the same thing goes for Toluca if Toluca defeats Barcelona. With Toluca started great, man. They defeated Boca Juniors in La Bombonera. They beat them. But Boca Juniors is a disaster right now. So I don't even know. They're bad right now, Boca. And then they come home. They face Nacional and they lose, 2-1 or 3-2? I can't remember. But, they lost here at home. And then Barcelona visits them and they tie 1-1, I believe. And now it's their turn to visit Barcelona in Ecuador. I'm not talking about Barcelona, like the one from Spain, the best team in the world. I'm talking about the Barcelona de Guayaquil, the team from Ecuador, obviously. So, yeah, man, that's just brief talk. I hope these Mexican clubs, Tijuana and Toluca, do well in their respective games. And yeah, good luck, man. Good luck to Toluca fans. Good luck to Tijuana fans. Moving on to the Jornada 11 games, or the week 11 of action games. We got interesting games. Tigres versus Chivas. Atlas versus Santos. Tijuana versus Monterrey. Interesting duels. You got the America versus San Luis game, which it's looking very, very bad. Very, very dark for San Luis. I think today, or yesterday, you're watching this on Wednesday, hopefully. Their manager just quit. He quit. Carlos Maria Morales, he quit. He resigned after like 3 games for certain reasons. I think they were just using him as a puppet, he really wasn't, it wasn't his team pretty much. It wasn't his team. He quits after 3 games and now they have to face America in El Azteca and America's playing really well. This is bad. This is bad for San Luis. So yeah, interesting duels. I'll give my opinions on the Tigres Chivas. I think it's going to be, I think Chivas is playing better. They're coming off of defeating Pachuca 1-0. I watched that game on the road. My dad is a Chivas fan. I was watching it with him on the road, man. I was watching it on my cell phone. The Pachuca versus Chivas game. A great goal by Rafa Marquez Lugo, who is doing really good. I don't know what the hell is the deal with Miguel Saba. He's not doing pretty much anything, but Marquez Lugo is playing great. Marco Fabian is injured. I think he'll be cleared to play versus America, though, the week after this. So, interesting duel, man. I'm going to judge what Chivas does versus Tigres. I'm going to judge how they're going to do versus America, which I shouldn't. No, never mind. Erase that, because that Chivas versus America, El Clásico, is just a whole different story, man. A whole different story. So, yeah, interesting duels. I already have the simulations that I want to do for this weekend. And I'm going to do the Tigres versus Chivas and the Atlas versus Santos. I know some of you guys were asking the Pumas versus Leon, but I've had a lot of Leon simulations. I think I also want, and I haven't really had many Atlas or Santos ones, and I think that duel is a little bit more interesting than the Leon versus Pumas. That's one thing you gotta understand. The simulations, I do them, yes, on your suggestions, but also don't only like give me a suggestion because you go for that team. You know what I mean? Like, take a little bit more of an analytic standpoint. Step back, take your jersey off, your team jersey off. Because if that was the case, I would simulate America games the whole time, but I don't do that. You see, if you notice that, take a little step back and look at the calendar and say, hey man, this duel versus Tigres versus Chivas looks like a good duel that has a lot on the line. Maybe you should simulate this, not only because you go for this club, suggests that I do it. Or, because Leon versus Pumas is a good game, but I think the Tigres versus Chivas is a little bit better, has more reflectors on it. And the Atlas versus Santos, because of how well Atlas is playing, and Santos, always a team that brings you trouble. That's why I think these 2 games have a little bit more weight to them than the Pumas versus Leon. If Leon was doing better, then, it could balance out right there. But yeah, so when you suggest, I'm all down for suggestions, man. I do take them into account, but then I also have to take my standpoint and be like, all right, what do I want to do? What do I think is more interesting? So when you suggest, it's up to you, right? It's obviously always up to you. But, try to be like, no, well, you know what? I'm going to take an analytic standpoint, and I think maybe these 2 games, even if it's not involving my team, maybe these 2 games would be interesting to simulate because they're games that, they have a lot of reflectors on them, stuff like that. So yeah, that's pretty much it, man. I don't know how long we've been going for. But I suggest, man, with this, there's no video to watch, there's no gameplay, you're just watching this still picture. But I suggest, you listen to this, hopefully, while you're driving to school, while you're driving to work. I don't know, while you're doing homework, while you're doing something else, that this is what it's for, just for you to listen, hopefully. Listen to it, all of it, if you feel like it. And that's pretty much what it is. I have a passion for Liga MX, for Fútbol Mexicano, since I was a little kid, man. Seriously, like I said, man, I eat, sleep, and breathe this thing. Right now, when I'm done with this, I'm going to watch Fútbol Picante, and every day in the mornings I wake up, I watch Raza Deportiva and ESPN Deportes. And then my favorite show of all, man, is Jorge Ramos y su banda. I just love that show, the comedy slash, it's just so fun, man, that show. And Jorge Ramos is like my idol, man, I swear. So yeah, man, just kind of, we'll be improving this, but leave your feedback, man. It's crucial. Like I said, this is like a test episode podcasting. It's a test. It's just a test. If no one likes it, not literally like click the like button, but just your feedback. I'm going to base it on your feedback. Obviously, likes is important. It'll let me know if there's a lot of likes, then okay, that's great. People are liking this. Maybe I should do it more. And leave, comments suggesting new things or comments on what we talked about. All this is crucial, man, because if not, I'm going to feel like I'm wasting my time and I'm talking to myself. If no one interacts, I'm going to feel like I'm talking to myself and I'm just losing my time, which I am talking to myself. But when I upload it, that's when I get to talk to you guys and hear your opinions on what I talked about, what I discussed in this mini podcasting. So yeah, leave your suggestions, whatever, man. Leave your opinions on what the topics we covered. Copa MX, the Tigres losing to Seattle, the León situation, Copa Libertadores, and the games we have for week 11 of action, Jornada 11 in La Liga MX. Interesting games. I'm really, really enjoying this season. Just not only America, because America is doing pretty good this season in Liga MX. I wish they were doing a little bit better, but they're doing pretty good. But I'm just enjoying the league in general. I think it's at a high, very, very high level. The Liga MX is at a very high level. Every week you see golazos, man. Just the Lucas Lobos goal versus San Luis, amazing goal. I remember a couple weeks, was it like 2 weeks ago, that the goal that Angel Reina scored versus, who was it? Was it versus San Luis? I think they scored it versus it was versus San Luis. He scored it on Conejo Perez. Golazo, man, Angel Reina. So it was I'm really enjoying the league this season. Awesome. It's being played at a very high level. So yeah, man, good luck to all your teams this weekend. Hopefully America defeats San Luis, which I think they will. They should. But yeah, good luck to all your teams, man. Leave me your feedback. I really hope you guys enjoyed it, and I'll see you guys later, carnales. Peace out, bros, and as always, take care. Que viva el fútbol.